This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
And we'll get to get him on and talk a little Canes. Perk, how you doing there? You doing better?
Big O, how am I sounding? Am I sounding better?
Oh, yes. Now it's perfect, bro. That is fantastic.
So I was saying, look, I hope we see a September 10th opener between UM and UAB at Hard Rock. No matter how you feel about UM and the ACC playing or them allowing a maximum of 13,000, I just want to see some football, Big O. That's it. Let's set that's my bottom line.
Now, let me ask you, Perk, because they've done a lot of testing and they've been able to keep them, pretty much away from COVID. Now the students get back to campus. Are they going to be on campus at UM? And if they are, then what's the protocol then for these guys? Because that's what I fear for the ACC, the Big 12, and the SEC, why I don't think a college football season will happen, because once kids get back to campus and the parties start, it's hard to control 100 kids. What is it, 109 or whatever, 106 kids.
106.
Yeah, 106 kids. It's hard to control 106 kids and 106 kids' sexual drive at that age.
I agree. Let me start at the top, Big O. I would favor, and I wrote this. I wrote this on SI.com saying that I'm okay with UM allowing 13,000 at Hard Rock. Here's how I feel. I would favor a 1-month lockdown. Just everybody stay the butt indoors. It doesn't appear that that's going to happen. So we need to learn how to live with this virus. And I would say, not trying to be a fearmonger or anything, we're probably going to be masked up and social distancing for the next year, right? Because even if there's a virus, a vaccine announced today, you would want them to test it for 12 months at the very minimum, right? So let's just say that that's the situation. We do need to learn how to live with it. A maximum of 13,000, 20% capacity at Hard Rock is responsible and reasonable to me. Now, if the numbers go up, then that 13,000 goes down to 7,000 or 5,000 or 0. So I like that to me, they're responsibly and reasonably trying to give us a way to live with the virus. We know they want money. We know they want to recover as much money as possible. We know that, but you just kind of set that aside. Now, and I'm glad that the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12 are trying to play. I think the Big 10 and the Pac-12 pulled the plug too early. Having said that, I'm with you. I don't think they're going to be able to finish a season because, yes, 105 players, 106, plus the social aspect of it, you're asking them to stay separated for 5-6 months. That really, from June to December, that's not going to happen. They are going to go to parties. They are going to have sex, and I think that there will be outbreaks, but I do like that they are trying to do it. So that gets back to my thing. I hope we have a game September 10th.
I'm with you. Listen, I hope we have an entire season. I've given the pros a chance because those are grown-ass men that've got, like, mortgages and 8 girlfriends and, a wife and 13 kids. And, they're like the rest of us, dude. They got stuff to pay at the end of the month. But kids, oh, man, I think of myself at 19, 20, and I'm a football player at the University of Miami. I'm having a lot of sex. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. I'm just calling it like it is. It's going to be really, really tough to kind of control the college environment. The NFL, I kind of give them a little bit of a shot. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I do agree. I have my doubts about the NFL, but I agree. These dudes have bills to pay, massive bills to pay. They've got a lot riding on it financially, professionally, personally, et cetera, et cetera. The college deal, I did ask Manny Diaz what he thought about putting the team in a bubble. And he said, you mean put them in a hotel and blah? And I said, yeah. And he goes, no, you just can't do it. Which, I agree, but I figured I would ask, just put them over at Shula's out there in Miami Lakes and make it just a 10 school virtually, and you bus them out there to Green Tree and they practice. But, and every school can't afford to do that. And then, but I, I had to ask, and then I asked him if he could put pen to paper on something like that. And I don't know if he, answered that, but he said, it's just impractical. But yeah, I have my doubts. College, I have my doubts, especially Big O when you have guys who are second or third team and they're not playing, they're kind of losing interest, or if the team starts out 0-4, you kind of lose interest, you let your guard down. Right. I have my doubts. I hope that they can do it, but I have serious doubts that these conferences are going to finish completely.
So, Park, you and I are veterans in this. We've been at this game for a long, long time. This is a year like we've never experienced, not just for our lives, but I'm just talking about in our silly world of covering sports, my brother. I mean, you never saw anything crazy like this happening, huh?
No, and correct me if I'm wrong, Big O. We've had things happen, whether it's 9/11 or the LA riots, right? That have stopped games, earthquakes, natural disasters. But really, yeah, strikes, work stoppages, strikes and lockouts. But yeah, no, this is just nothing. This wasn't even on the radar. Some of that other stuff, even a natural disaster or an earthquake, the riot you couldn't have predicted. But yeah, some of that other stuff, the labor strike, you could kind of see it coming, whatever. But this, a virus, I mean, and in times of the social injustice, Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, this is wow. That's all I can say. Wow, nobody was equipped. Nobody saw all of these things.
How much harder has it made your job? Because obviously your job is to provide insight and getting access, but this COVID has, really, shortened that access a lot for everybody in every beat.
Yeah, Big O, I'll be honest. I'm at a disadvantage on the UM beat because I haven't seen a lot of the guys that I'm writing about. If I was still covering the Dolphins, it's okay. I've seen most of those guys, even the free agents, Matt Breida and those guys you've seen. You haven't seen them up close, but you've seen them. I haven't, Zion Nelson at UM, the offensive lineman, I couldn't tell you a whole lot about him. I could tell you, a lot about some of these Brevin Jordan and De'Aaron King. I saw him with UH a couple of years ago, Will Mallory, Mike Harley, some of these, even John Campbell there at left tackle. I saw him a little bit last year, but a lot of the backups, I can't tell you a whole lot. So I'm at a disadvantage from that standpoint. That's where COVID kind of robs me because I'm not out there every day and I don't get to see these kids and observe things about the kids that you didn't notice so much on TV last year. So that's how it's affected me. But, really, and I'll tell you this, all reporters, Big O, your ability to report what you saw in a game is really it's going to be tough. And I might have used this example with you before, but you know how this is. You're at a game in the press box, and let's say you notice Bobby McCain and Aaron Gottschall arguing on the sideline. TV cameras don't catch it. Maybe no other reporter saw it, and you want to ask somebody about it after the game. You can't now. You just got the Zoom. And so you report the what you saw just kind of as and it could have been nothing. They could have just been but it's that kind of thing to report that on the down low, to investigate that on the down low. You lose that ability.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine now in covering a beat and how much more difficult. And then on the flip side, these coaches only have a few practices now before the season starts. This is going to be a mission for Brian Flores and for the guy you're covering now in Manny Diaz. And this is a really important year for Manny Diaz because, he and his team look completely unprepared week in and week out practically last year. He's got to kind of show people that, no, that's not who we are, and we are going to be competent. We are going to be prepared week in and week out. And Manny has to overcome all of that, even though they've had a phenomenal offseason because, man, talk about addressing every single problem you had. They did that.
They did, and let me ask you this, Big O. I'll throw this at you because this is something that I am looking into and asking UM's coaches about. And I'm, giving away a story here, but it's not a huge thing. Do you think that UM's offense is at a bigger advantage than normal this year? Because there was no spring game, so UAB really doesn't have any idea how their team looks in the Rhett Lashley offense. There's no film. They don't know. There's no tweets from reporters. There's no video from fans about personnel groupings. I don't know. I don't know if they have a bigger advantage than they usually would. But I am going to ask them. What do you think that they are at a bigger advantage against UAB in this opener than they would have been if conditions were normal because of that?
I don't think anybody has an advantage right now. The only advantage that should have over UAB is that their talent is superior. But I don't believe they have any kind of an advantage over anybody there because of the situation that they're in, because they don't have a lot of preparation time.
Yeah, UM's offensive line remains a question mark. Running back, we'll see Cameron Harris, and we'll see, what the two youngsters, Donald Chaney Jr. and Keelan Knighton can add there. Tight ends are good. You don't have a number one receiver, and that kind of concerns me. They've got some decent guys. We'll see what can develop. Maybe Jeremiah Payton, the freshman, blossoms into something special. But I don't think that they're at any sort of greater advantage either. I really don't. Yeah, you do have Derek King and the Rhett Lashley offense, and if they did have an advantage, it would only be a one-game advantage. It wouldn't be because once you put that stuff on film against UAB, then it's out there for everybody to see. But I don't think that they will be. But that's for me. I haven't seen this offense. I didn't see them in the spring. None of us have seen. It's not just me. None of us have seen the UM offense with Derek King and Rhett Lashley. So I'll be interested to see how that looks.
No, I mean, listen, this is just like potluck, everything. It's just a big old jack-in-the-box, dude. None of us know what the hell we're going to get from all of this. You're not going to get clean football in either side, pro or college, because these guys have not had a whole offseason. You got a whole bunch of new guys. It's a new quarterback. You got some new changes on the O-line. I mean, there's changes everywhere on this team. And so you don't have a lot of time to get prepared. And to me, that's the part that's going to be a real challenge. It's almost like maybe you're better off. The teams that have the most experience on college rosters are the teams that are probably going to be better prepared for the beginning of the season. But if you're a team that's got a ton of changes, dude, from coordinators down to players, it's going to be a really rough start for most of these teams, I believe.
Yeah, and the one thing, I compare apples to oranges here, Big O, but you remember also when the Dolphins kept trying to insert that up-tempo offense, and it just didn't work with Ryan Tannehill out there and the coordinators that they had out there. It just didn't work, and it's a tough thing to get down when line of scrimmage recognition and getting to the line of scrimmage early, and getting lined up, and the offensive linemen getting there, and everybody recognize it's different. If you haven't done it, it's different. And that first year is really going to be tough. And that's one of the things. I mean, Bill Lazor tried it here with the Dolphins, and it was a tough thing for those NFL guys to grasp in one off season. And like you say, yeah, UM haven't been out there drilling it. They've seen it in theory, right, on film and in the classroom, and a few walkthroughs, 4 spring practices, and however many they've had this fall, maybe 7, 8, something like that. But yeah, there's going to be some ragged looks. Now, Derek King is a quarterback who can cover some of that, but eventually, you've got some big games coming up first part of the season, Louisville, Florida State, Clemson. You've got to have those things cleaned up on an individual basis. Derek King can't cover you all season, especially early. So that will be something that I'll be eyeing very close.
So, Perk, what are you hearing about the practices? Where are they? Where are they having success? Where are they struggling? What have you been able to unearth?
Well, it's actually kind of been as Manny Diaz has been saying out there. Take for instance in the first scrimmage, the quarterbacks played pretty well. Second scrimmage, the quarterback struggled a little bit, and part of the difference is in the second scrimmage, you had a few more of the defensive players that were out there and available in Quincy Roche and at defensive end, the transfer from Temple, who, this is a kid who's probably going to be a second-day draft pick, right? Second or third round. It would have been great to have him out there with Gregory Rousseau, but now you've got Jalen Phillips out there, a former number one recruit in the nation. We'll see what he can do. The transfer from UCLA. We'll see what the Phillips Roche set of bookends looks like. It seems like they did get to the quarterbacks at UM, not just Derek King in that second scrimmage, but N'Kosi Perry, Tyler Van Dyke, Tate Martell, all of them. So it's going to be interesting. The running backs the freshman had success in the first scrimmage. Not so much in the second scrimmage, and you would have to hope that, again, it's those defensive players. So, from what I've heard, that it's an improved team. Look, we're the starting point is a 6-7 squad that finished the season losing to FIU, Duke, and La Tech. So I don't think anybody is predicting a 10-win season. I right now, if I had to guess, 7 wins. Because there is a lot of new stuff, and this isn't an overly talented UM team. So that's what I'm thinking right now before even laying eyes on them, just going off of what I knew from last year and what I've heard so far from this year, which hasn't been a whole lot of great detail, what I've heard.
Well, when I hear Derek King talk, I like what I see from the kid, the maturity and all that. What are you hearing on the field? How has he connected with teammates? How comfortable does he look in the offense? What are you hearing about Derek?
Great stuff. I had a video on SI.com about with Mike Rump, the UM cornerbacks coach, talking about how Derek kind of breaks down a defense and what he does to their defense, and how he can look at Derek King and tell, this kid is a seasoned veteran, from his pre-snap reads to how he talks to players after plays. He said, when after a play, you always see Derek talking to somebody. He told us this anecdote about how the DBs were going through some stuff as a unit one day on the practice field. And he was, and he was telling the DBs in the meeting, did you notice somebody looking at us? And Derek King was on the sideline looking at Rump and the defensive coaches talk to the secondary and how they move. And it turned out Derek had had problems with that particular defensive alignment in previous years, so he was learning. And then Rump said, while Derek is standing out there, one more guy would walk up, and he would be watching. And then another guy would walk up, and then there's a group of offensive players. And so that's kind of what Derek King is doing. We saw the on the field, right, in 2018, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. This is a glimpse at the off the field. So that's what Derek King is doing for them.
All right, Chris Perkins, of course, from Sports Illustrated, joining us, talking a little Canes. And Perk, the 13,000 fans, did they tell you how they're going to distribute those tickets? Is it a lottery based on their season tickets? Is it tenure of people that have been there? Will they allow some of those tickets to be sold to the public? How are they handling those 13,000 seats?
I'm not exactly sure on how the tickets are going to be distributed. I know that some of the, obviously some of the prominent boosters are going to get priority, but, they're going to have to let some students in. I don't think that they actually broke down the exact distribution. And maybe you can't until you know that you're going to have 13,000
right.
people. I don't know. But, yeah, there was no exact breakdown of that.
Okay, because I'm interested in knowing how the hell they're going to end up doing that, dude. The Jacob Blake.
I know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I know that they said that some fans, if you don't go to these games, you do have the option of getting a refund or rolling this over to 2021 season tickets. but I don't know exactly how the breakdown will be done.
All right, so the Jacob Blake shooting, how are they handling all of that? Because obviously there's a lot of young black men on that team, and you, Perk, I would imagine. How do you feel after watching that video? How disgusted are you by everything that's going on?
Yeah, it's just more of the same, and that's the frustrating thing. But I will say this: I do think that something substantive will come of this. I'm saying that this whole the whole Black Lives Matter movement and what's been going on here the last few years, really. I guess if you start with Ferguson, Missouri, right? Yeah. The last few years, I hope that there's going to be a big change. I don't know that will happen, but there will be change. There's definitely more awareness. And I think that the awareness is partially because this message is being delivered in an intelligent way by intelligent athletes, LeBron James, Kenny Stills, everybody. Everybody who's kneeling. This isn't a bunch of guys out there raging and ranting and shaking their fists and using four-letter words. This is intelligent talk. This is intelligent action. This is evidence on video, and this is being conveyed in a way that everybody can understand and see it. So I think that's a big difference. As far as that's how I feel about it, and that's the good thing about what's going on right now. We have not had a chance to talk to the players in the last couple of days, so we haven't they haven't had any access. We do the Zoom press conferences like everybody else is doing around the nation, college and pros. No face-to-face stuff, but we have not asked them about that. So I'm sure we will. I think our next access is due tomorrow, I believe.
What do you got working on SI so Canes fans can check you out, my brother?
Yeah, so I'm doing a couple of things. I'm doing one on if pregame preparation and if opening game preparation in COVID times is any different than it is in any other years. Doing something for tomorrow also on the communication aspect of playing the safety position and what Ephraim Banda has to say about it. The co-defensive coordinator and safety coach also to Amari Carter and Gervin Hall about it. And it's fascinating. I'm going to post some video later on this afternoon, but just fascinating what Banda was saying about, why communication is so important and the pre-snap reads and how that really starts in the film room and not right there at the game when you're lined up. It's fascinating stuff. Amari Carter talking about how they make their reads and the progression that they go through. So kind of inside football stuff, but fascinating to hear it from a college student especially.
Follow him on Twitter at Chris Perk and catch his exceptional work there at si.com. Perk, it's great to have you back, my brother. Have some fun, cover some football, and let's hope we get the pigskin all year long, man. You be good out there.
Let's hope so, man. You and Bill and your family stay safe. I'll talk to you later, Big O.
Thank you, my friend.
Same to you, Chris.
There you go. Chris Perkins, baby, from Sports Illustrated.